High inflation is often followed by falling prices or deflation, and we've seen it before. Rising prices have shocked us all in recent years, but it might now be turning the other way. There are a lot of reasons why prices shot up so much during COVID, and the same reasons that those prices shot up are now why we may start seeing settling prices. It's all supply and demand, and it's predictable, or at least it's partially predictable. Prices are determined by how much of something is available and how much other people want to buy it. Take, for example, apples and hungry people. If you have 10 apples and 10 hungry people, then your supply and your demand are reasonably balanced and prices are likely to be stable. But if you were to take those same 10 hungry people and there's only one apple available, they're all going to compete with each other, being willing to pay higher prices until someone is willing to pay more. But the price of a single apple does not determine inflation. The Consumer Price Index, or the CPI, is made up of thousands of different products and services that people pay money for. These include different areas such as food and beverages, housing, transportation, energy, medical care, education, and more. When the average price of all those things is going up, we have inflation, and a little bit of inflation is normal. In fact, the Fed considers anything under 2% inflation to be completely fine and normal. But sometimes something happens that shocks the system and prices go up faster and inflation rises. This is what happened during COVID. After about 8 years of inflation averaging about 1.5%, we started to see shortages. Remember what happens when you don't have enough apples for everyone who wants to buy one? Prices go up. When no one has toilet paper, some people are going to be willing to pay a lot for something that is very important. And the same goes for other things that people panic bought during COVID, like flour and beans and bread. While we all saw shortages in the grocery store and have since seen higher prices follow, there were some things that were not quite as apparent. For example, supply chain shortages made it so it was very difficult to find a garage door, and the price of garage doors tripled in about a year. A computer chip shortage meant that automakers couldn't finish almost completed vehicles, and so there was a shortage of vehicles available to sell, and the price of vehicles rose as well. This all gets worse when people are stuck at home, unable to work. Worldwide production of a lot of things dropped. So there were fewer products available to buy at the same time that people wanted to buy them. And a jump in demand can also lead to higher prices. Because of the pandemic, people were spending their otherwise vacation money on things like remodeling home offices or improving their backyards. There were so many people who wanted to buy paint and lumber all at the same time. In fact, at one point, the wholesale price of lumber was up about 5 times from what it was prior to 2020. Things got worse in real estate since so many people wanted to get out of their apartments and into larger, more comfortable homes. Rich people bought more vacation homes. Demand spiked, leading to those higher prices. Free money from the government in the form of stimulus checks and tax credits also led to more spending, as it was designed to do. And historically low interest rates made it so easy for people to afford and pay for big ticket items like cars and houses. So the price of those things was able to go up and people were willing to pay it. So now we are all paying the literal higher price of free money, low interest rates, and shortages. We saw inflation in the United States peak at about 8% in 2022. And other countries saw similar inflation trends. But when you look at historical trends, periods of high prices are often followed by times of prices coming back down at least a little bit. These falling prices are called deflation or disinflation, as you may hear on the news. It sounds a little bit less scary. One of the biggest examples of this was at the end of World War I, which also happened about the same time as the Spanish flu, when several years of inflation of over 15% per year was followed by 2 years of falling prices. The end of World War II also spurred about 3 years of high inflation, followed by deflation. The housing bubble of the mid to late 2000s was followed by a little bit of deflation in 2009 when people decided to pull back on their spending during the Great Recession. While prices did not fall back to historical levels, they did settle down a little bit as we entered what became a new normal. Fast forward to today. We experienced high inflation in 2021 and 2022, and still some in 2023, but we may now be falling into a point where inflation comes down enough that it could go the other direction, and we might actually see some deflation. Gas is down, used vehicle prices have come down. The great egg shortage of 2023 was followed by egg prices falling over 60% for the main ingredient of your morning omelet. Remember what happens when you don't have enough apples for all the hungry people and prices go up? But what happens when people decide to stop buying as many apples? Those with more apples to sell start to drop their prices until people are willing to buy. Consumers have now run out of the extra COVID money. Layoffs in many industries are causing even more people to pull back on their spending. The buying frenzy appears to be potentially over, and now we may finally see some reprieve from the rising costs. China has been dealing with deflation for a while now, with prices falling in multiple categories, and it may be that other economies and countries follow. If you're concerned about how all of this could affect your business, now is a great time to take a step back and look at your strategy. Do you need to reduce production or maybe find a way to add extra value to keep customers coming to your business while overall spending starts to come down? Check out the videos posted below to consider what you can do to keep your business strong.